Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin, and I want to talk about the Florida State-Alabama game. So we've already covered the Ohio State-Texas game, and that's why we have horns down. And now we've got Alabama upside down here too, because they were a heavy favorite and they got worked. Now, I'm a Florida Gator alumni, so, but when you do a podcast, you can't be biased. And so they get the shirt today. They deserve the shirt today. And they just completely overwhelmed the Crimson Tide here. So I can't think of the last time that we can honestly say the Crimson Tide looked completely overmatched in a game. Yes, they've lost, they lost 3 games last year, and even during Nick Saban's era that, they'll lose a couple of games here and there, but it's rare to say the Tide was overmatched. But in this game, if you paid attention, they just looked overmatched, and Florida State just looked like the better team the whole game long. They dominated them for large parts of the game. Florida State's defensive and offensive line just seemed to completely dominate this game. Even though Alabama managed to pass the ball some here, so Ty Simpson went 23 for 43, 254 yards, 2 TDs. It didn't look good. It just didn't look good. Jermaine Bernard looks good. He looked good. Ryan Williams, unfortunately, I think he got a little dinged up at the end of the game there. He was a no-show in this game. It's just, I'm kind of just reeling a little bit from how this game went because we just did not know what to expect from Florida State. Last year was so bizarre. Like, they just played so bad last year. And there's been talk about hot seat with Norvell and how could it get this bad? And is he, in the offseason, there was always chatter about him losing out another recruit and losing another recruit. Then he onboards Tommy Castellanos, who, by the way, looked amazing and put his money where his mouth was and backed up all of that shit talking he was doing. He completely backed it up. And during the broadcast, they mentioned that the rest of the FSU team loved it. Loved the confidence he had, and they just, one of the broadcasters said the other players were like, "Yeah, I'm going to run through a wall for this guy." Like, we love that confidence. So maybe DJU didn't have that confidence. There's many problems with the team last year, but holy smokes, Norvell! It seems like he solved a lot of those problems already. And maybe this is, maybe you can reload or rebuild a team. I guess this isn't really reloading as much as rebuilding a team from last year to this year. A new feeling, a new attitude. They just kicked Alabama's ass. That's just what happened here. So, if you watch this game, it never actually felt like Alabama was really going to be competitive. After the first few minutes of the game, Alabama had a pretty decent opening drive. And then after that, it was obvious FSU was the stronger team. I want to say that he kind of bullied Alabama too. It's just, I don't know. I'm just not used to seeing Alabama get pushed around like that in a game. And so one of the telling stats here is Florida State ran for 230 yards and held Alabama to 74 yards. That's the stat line right there. You're going to lose that game. If you get outrushed like that badly, and when you watch the way it went down, Castellanos was making the critical plays when he needed to. He had 78 yards rushing. He was the leading rusher, but they mixed it up here. And Danzy looked pretty good. This guy should be on everyone's radar now, number 19, Danzy. And, the ACC should be on alert. Actually, every team in the country now, the committee, the playoff selection committee should be on alert. Like Florida State, see, if this is at all how they're going to perform during this year, everyone in the ACC's got a big problem right now. If we're going to assume Alabama's actually a good team. But this was bad. This was a good old-fashioned beatdown. There's no really other way to say it. Like, Alabama showed a bit of life at the end there, but not really. It's Florida State had 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks. On the other hand, Alabama only had 1 sack and 3 TFLs, which is, again, none of this is what anyone expected. I'm totally guilty. I said in our preview that this could get ugly. But I was thinking the other way around, ugly for Florida State. This for sure got ugly, and it was ugly for Alabama. I'm sure that in the Alabama local sentiment now, and if you're watching and you're an Alabama fan, let me know what people think. I'm sure people are thinking DeBoer's the wrong guy. I know it's jumping to conclusions and all of that stuff. But even when the camera pans to him, when when it's not looking good out there, he kind of doesn't look emotional enough. I know that's completely just a TV perception thing. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything, and you want your coach to look level-headed. But it's like when they're getting their asses kicked, he doesn't look like it's upsetting him. He just sort of looks inquisitive, I guess. And I don't know. I don't know enough about what that would even mean. Maybe it means nothing, but on TV, it almost, you just want to see him a little bit more fired up, I guess. I don't know. But the guy wins everywhere he goes. He was this close to winning the national championship with Washington, and you'd say that he's got access to better talent at Alabama than Washington. So it should work here with DeBoer because it's worked everywhere else with DeBoer. So there's no reason why it shouldn't work here when he can recruit top 5 classes every year. But oh my God, that was a bad showing. That I would say it's borderline an embarrassment. Now it was on the road. And Florida State is traditionally a good team. And just a couple of years ago, Florida State won whatever it was, 13 games, undefeated, and then got the snub when Travis got hurt. So this team isn't that far removed from being on the national stage in the debate for the 4-team playoff. Speaking of Florida State, so we're not that far removed from being a national title contender team. Now, last year was the anomaly of anomalies. Obviously, nobody in college football saw a 2-10 season for Florida State coming. Like that was just, no one was considering that. And then when that happened, then there was this, you can't just grab players 1-year rentals like DJ Uiagalelei out of the portal, and maybe that's not the way to build a team. And Alabama still builds from the inside or internally from recruiting. And yeah, they'll add a few transfer pieces as needed, but they're not building the team from the transfer portal. These are all the narratives in the offseason as to why Norvell's on the hot seat. He's lost the momentum. He's losing players. Players are committing then decommitting. He's not turning in big time recruiting classes. All this stuff, and then the narrative about Castellanos. It's, well, the guy got benched at Boston College. So you're telling me Florida State's going to come into this game, beat Alabama with Boston College's cast off QB is the sort of the detractors' comments about, like, why the hell do we care about Florida State? Like this quarterback couldn't even make the Boston College or stay on the Boston College's starting quarterback. And he goes running his mouth, and then you got the Crimson Tide players saying, it'll be dealt with. Yeah, not at all. He dealt with you. You didn't deal with him at all. Alabama just got their asses handed to them in this game. It was pretty clear, I'd say, going into halftime, if they didn't make any sort of serious adjustment, there was no way they were getting back in this game. And it was just more of the same in the second half. Like Florida State they just overwhelmed them. And another thing is they overwhelmed them in the trenches. That's another thing you just don't find yourself saying or hear people saying is Alabama got overwhelmed in the trenches and just looked overmatched, just straight up overmatched. So, Florida State is back, it seems like, and the ACC absolutely should be on alert. Everybody who thought this might be, I don't want to say it. I don't think they would have penciled it in as a win, but if they were wondering what kind of Florida State they were getting, are they getting 2 years ago 13-0 Florida State, or are they getting last year's 2-10 Florida State? This looks a lot more like the 13-0 Florida State. And Castellanos and I think maybe the key factor to all of this is Gus Malzahn knowing what to do with a quarterback like Castellanos. And holy smokes, if this is an indication of what they're going to be like for the rest of the year, Clemson's got trouble. The ACC is in big trouble if this team's going to look like this, because I don't know that too many people really thought they could turn it around this fast. And on the flip side, Alabama's in all kinds of trouble. This offense just looked just out of sorts. It's really too bad. Ryan Williams, it was kind of surprising he was a no-show here. Ty Simpson, he did throw for 250 yards, no interceptions, 2 TDs, but it did not look good. It seemed out of sync for much of the game. Now, Jermaine Bernard looked fantastic. So you've got a dude there, and we know Ryan Williams can play, but man, there's some issues on this Alabama team, and it just got fully exposed in this game. And it's not a conference game. So the everything is still on the table for the Crimson Tide, obviously. So let's do the what does this mean about these teams? Signature win for Florida State. Super big deal for playoff implications, because if they somehow don't make the ACC championship game and they end up with like one of these sort of 11-1 seasons, or even a 10-2 season, or they either lose the ACC championship game or don't even make it, they have a signature win over the Tide. So that's a big deal for Florida State. Obviously, their future looks good right now, and everything's clearly in front of Florida State. It's all there, meaning their conference championship game is still in reach, and so is the playoffs. But for Alabama, the conference championship game is obviously still in reach. This isn't an SEC game. We all know that. So they can still make the playoffs, because they're going to have a strong enough schedule and an opportunity to make the SEC championship game. So it's not like they've just ruined their chances at a conference championship game or the playoffs. But there's going to be a lot of doubt now in Alabama supporters of what the hell kind of team is this? Like this, I don't think they expected this. And I'm sure Alabama fans, alumni, whatever, supporters, administration, coaches could have accepted a close game and lost, but you kind of got your asses handed to you in this game. So that's not at all what anyone expected here. So this is, I don't know, this is something else. And now, after seeing how strong Auburn looked, or how at least solid Auburn looked in the trenches, that does not add up well for Alabama, who seem to have gotten overwhelmed in the trenches in this game. So, I mean, I know there's lots more to talk about. I just wanted to quickly catch this. The game ended maybe an hour ago, so I wanted to just get some comments out on it, see what people think. So what do you think? Did I catch the main points of this game? Did you see something in this game that I'm missing? Did I basically hit what you think happened here? I just think they got overwhelmed. Alabama was just fully overmatched, and FSU surprised, I think, most people in the country, and they look strong. And it does not look like a fluke. Like they just physically beat them up. So anyways, that's all I got for this game. I got to get back up there. I guess I got to catch the LSU Clemson game next. But let me know what you think in the comments. Also, if you're here still watching, I know my channel's tiny. Like I don't have very many viewers, but I appreciate you if you're here watching. I know there's a million things you could watch, so if you're here, I super appreciate it. And if you do like what I have going on here, maybe drop a like if you want, and or subscribe, and or share. It's up to you, but I appreciate you being here. All right, we'll catch you later.